Waiters and waitresses of Reddit. What is the most awkward couple date you have ever witnessed at work? A girl hit on me in front of her BF when I was serving. The BF walked off after staring her off, and the girl awkwardly sat there alone for a while. I asked a girlfriend to take over her table, cause it was too awkward. First date. I would estimate college age. They're eating and the girl says I'm having a really nice time. But my friend just texted me and asked me if I wanted to hang out. And I said yes. So I actually had to go. Late to the party, but I will share my story. Had a couple come in one night and everything seemed to be going fine. We just hired a new server who was training, and I asked her if she had any questions. She was still nervous about greeting tables, so I told her she could shadow me and watch what I do. We go over to the couple's table and all I hear from the new server is, "You duck-eyed bitch, I knew you were cheating on me." Turns out the guy was her BF on a date with his side chick and he didn't know she just got a job there. She didn't get fired for what she said. Husband and wife fight. Wife cried. Husband got up and threw a pizza slice at her face. Date seemed going well, but the guy was nervous and fidgety. He was rocking back on his chair a little as he would talk, and eventually flew too close to the sun, toppled his chair backwards, and knocked himself out cold, and peed his pants. He had to be taken out of the dining room on a stretcher over the span of 20 minutes. While his Tinder date did the honorable thing and immediately went to the bar and ordered shots. We gave them to her on the house. I guess you could call this a couple date. I was working at a wine bar when a married couple sat down on a pretty slow night. I went over the specials and they ordered. Once appetizers came out, the man thought it would be a good idea to serve his wife divorce papers. I did my best to avoid that side of the bar. I did bring out tissues for the wife who was breaking down. I ended up boxing up the dinner. The guy paid, but I do not envy that ride home. Served a deaf couple having a fight. They went from both of them signing furiously to her crying and signaling to me for a stack of napkins for, I assumed, her tears. She whips out a pen and starts writing paragraph after paragraph angrily. It was awkward because I kept having to come back to the table since they ordered multiple courses and he was just eating and signing while she was hunched over the table writing away while crying. When they finally left, they tipped me pretty well though, so I guess it wasn't too bad. IDK if this counts. But when I was a waitress at Olive Garden, one of my tables was going over their divorce paperwork. When I greeted the table, I asked how everyone was, and the woman said, "Terrible. We are getting a divorce." Like, WTF do I say to that? Really little guy. Maybe 5'4", 120 pounds, comes in with a gigantic woman. Probably 6 feet tall and easily 300 pounds. Both tatted the duck up with piercings to match. The woman orders her dish, and before I get the guy's order, he says in a sexy voice, "I think you want more than that." She smirks at him, says, "You know I do," and orders 3 more entrees. This was clearly a thing for them. They seemed incredibly happy together, and became regulars at my restaurant. I feel like I played a not insignificant role in this bizarre couple's eating fetish for like 3 years. There was a couple at my work having drinks. Girl went to the toilet, came back and admitted that she'd been sleeping with the guy's brother. Apparently glasses were thrown across the room and they both got kicked out. Chiming in late, but one comes to mind. I had a mid-40s man with a young and attractive mid-20s woman sitting at the bar. They were engaging in small talk and ordering drinks. Nothing out of the ordinary. After possibly 45 minutes, a lady storms into the bar and immediately goes up to them. She grabs the man by the shoulder and says, "You're a cunt," and walks out. The man turned to his perceived date and says, "Yeah." She does that and then left the room, leaving his date to sit there, staring blankly into oblivion until she left. Not exactly a date, but I served a couple one time who had met up to discuss the terms of their divorce at the fancy Irish restaurant I worked at the time. They came before the dinner rush, so they were pretty much my only table. And every time I'd check in on them, the wife was extremely angry/tearful, and they were bickering about holiday schedules for their daughter/timeshares etc. It wasn't the end of the world, but it was extremely awkward to butt in to change their forks or refill drinks while they were so emotionally charged. A girl brought 2 Tinder dates and played them off each other game show style. They seemed to be unaware this was what would happen. Splitting the bill was hilarious. Was a bartender / waiter a few years back, and I was delivering some food to a table to find out that it was my ex and her new boyfriend sitting at the table. We had only stopped seeing each other a month earlier, so it was incredibly awkward for everyone. This trashy couple I served were disgusting people to begin with, and to top it off, the woman was trying to be sneaky and jerk him off under the table. Unfortunately, I saw this happening and just pretended like nothing was happening because I didn't want to deal with it. Working at a Chili's on Valentine's Day, the girl gave me her number with her boyfriend in the bathroom. I came back and had to deal with her being sweet to him and nice the rest of the dinner. I did not call or text her. Just was weird every time she'd look me in the eyes following. This wasn't so much as awkward but just unusual. Served a young couple at a high-end Italian restaurant that came in wearing matching outfits. I asked them what the occasion was. They were celebrating their 3-month anniversary. I'm so glad they found each other. They sat down and, from the girl's body language, you could tell she was into him. As the date progressed, she closed off, then sat pretty much sideways, then was playing on her phone. The body language shift occurred over maybe 1.5 hours. He didn't stop talking the entire time. She did give some nods and ahas in response. Even perked up a few times to contribute. But his monologue never stopped. There was a couple sitting at the bar together. Seemed like it was a first date. Maybe after 30 minutes of them being together, I'm in the back rolling silverware and the dude comes running into the back and goes, "There's an exit back here. Right." And proceeds to bolt out of the back door. We were all flummoxed. The girl sat at the bar alone for at least another 45 minutes before she left. There's a habit of some older couples, where the elderly gentleman will order on behalf of his wife. I guess it might have been cute and romantic once, but it doesn't work with some younger couples. I was serving a younger couple, early 20s, who seemed pretty early into the relationship. They were ordering drinks, and he orders her drink for her. Far from being dazzled by him knowing what she wanted, she didn't want any of it. Well, I'd actually like a lat, not a Coke. But fine, whatever. If I don't get a say. He responded quite angrily with, "Oh sorry. Have what you want then." She got her lat, and he glared at me. They ate and left. Not been in since. I'm sure they're doing well. Not technically a waiter, but I worked at McDonald's. One of the thankfully less trashy ones. And a couple came in. Woman sat down, and the man tried to order. There was lots of umming and ahhing at what he wanted to buy. He ordered 2 meals that we gave to him, and he went and sat down. What followed was a 10-minute shouting match about how he wouldn't take her on a "proper date," and how he ducked up even a McDonald's date. Guess he ordered the wrong thing. The couple started shouting, and then both went into the washroom. We thought they were smashing and dashing without paying. But they came back. I heard some of their convo, and it was so awkward. Guy: "So do you golf? 'Cause I golf." Girl: "No." And it went on like that for their whole date. Edit: "Ahaha, thanks for the PMS." Not a waiter, but I was working as a supervisor in a restaurant. And there was a drama lasted for a couple of months. There was a couple that came to lunch every day. And every day they went to toilet together for like 20 to 30 minutes. So you can guess they had sex. It was inappropriate, but we could nothing with that. But one day she came to the restaurant with another man. And he was her husband. And that was a pretty awkward moment. So she started to come to the restaurant with her husband on weekends. But one day, as usually, she came to us with her lover. They were arguing, and as I've understood they broke up. She was crying and so on. After that fight I've never seen any of them. I was eating at a restaurant, and heard the hostess ask a couple she was seating, if they were out for anything special. The husband replied, "No. It's just our anniversary." It has inspired my father-in-law to drop that line almost any time he goes out to eat now. Not a server. Of course. But this was something I said to a bartender that made the bartender a bit uncomfortable. I was with my girlfriend and the bartender asked if we were married. GF answers quickly with yes. Bartender asks for how long. I said, well, I've been married for 9 years. She's been married for 13. We were both separated and going through divorces in a state that requires a 1-year waiting period. I'm a bartender and seen a bad date go down. The girl seemed familiar to me and she kept glancing over at me every now and again. Then the guy started looking over at me too. Even when she was up ordering drinks she was glancing at me, and my co-worker noticed. Turned out she was a friend from years ago who just ghosted our friend group. The couple had no chemistry at all either. There was little conversation, and at a few points both were on their phones at the same time. Eventually the guy leaves and the girl's left there alone for 20 minutes, so she pulls out her laptop and works on Photoshop for a good half hour before leaving. After they ordered, she got up and left the table, and she never came back. Food arrived and he said to box it up. I've witnessed countless of extremely uncomfortable dates, where the man will not shut up about himself, and the woman sits there awkwardly nodding waiting to GTFO. Bartender at the time. Not a waiter. But they were right in front of the bar. Attractive woman comes in with a very loud dude who never took off his rollerblades. Humbler brags badly. Mostly just bragged he clearly thought sounded humble. Loud enough for me to hear in a bar for about an hour. Thanks her and leaves. He thought it was a date. Apparently she was doing sociological research on people who use Tinder. I was relieved. My ex-GF with my friend. He didn't know I worked there but she did. Edit. Sorry. Because a few people asked. We were dating at the time. I was young. 15. And she as well. 16. I think she wanted to break up with me. Didn't know how to do it. So did it this. It was hurtful. And obviously I was very sad and angry at the time. But I don't hold any ill will towards her today. I think maturing is a tough path. My friend at the time knew we had been dating. But he was the sort of friend I see twice a week in class. And apparently she told him we had broken up. I dunno, kids do silly things. I don't really know if this counts, because I think they were married. At a table with 2 crying children. How are you doing tonight? What can I get you started with to drink? Father, do you have a shotgun back there, so I can blow my head off? The wife's glare at him was the scariest thing I've ever seen. I honestly hope that man is still living. Edit. Holy shit. Bless you for the gold. Kind stranger. One of the waitresses at a restaurant where I used to work told me this one. I worked in the kitchen. There was a couple, apparently on a first date. As she would come by with drinks and to take their order, etc. She noticed that they were hardly talking or looking at each other, if at all. The girl was clearly not into it. Finally, when they were finished with their meal, the waitress asked if the ticket would be together or separate. The guy said together, and the girl said separate practically at the same time. Seems like they each had a different experience on this date. It was very cringy to hear. These 2 nightmare girls come in with a guy, and she kept saying he should sit with the other girl, since he had been feeling her up at the mall earlier, and he was supposed to be her date. They asked me my opinion, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not cool. They come in a month later with 2 guys in the military, and keep bringing up the other guy that was hitting on the wrong one. They also had penis lollipops. This time they were just sucking on like no one is supposed to question why they are eating them. They are very strange. Well, I've commented on this before. But basically he was waiting for his girlfriend and he noticed his wife's best friend coming to the restaurant. So, that was awkward for him. Edit. Man. He frantically texted the GF. She knew he was married. When she showed up she sat a few seats down, and they talked without looking at each other till the friend left. Honestly it was kinda anticlimactic. He even went over and said hi to the friend. My first table ever at a job I started in 2012 was a breakup. And they were one of 2 couples in the restaurant. It was at 5:20 p.m. I'm so excited. I finally can contribute. I saw the most adorable obvious first date. The chemistry between the two was amazing. Even with all of the adorable awkwardness of getting to know one another. They sat at the bar for hours. And I genuinely thought I was witnessing true love. Until after about 4 hours later. When an older man walks up to the couple, and without skipping a beat the woman introduces the older man as her husband. WTF, the restaurant was crushed. I have another story that involves swingers, if you're interested lol. Not a waiters, but I was sitting close to them. The guy was on one knee, and holding a small black box. When she opened the box he ran away. There was a small paper inside. After reading it, she started to cry. Turns out he broke with her. It was funny / sad at same time. There was a couple at a table next to me at a bar. I was having a good time with my friends, and I was singing something as I usually do. Just like that. Not loud or something. The guy heard me and said, "Guy, this one is for my ex-GF. Me. Yeah. That witch." As a joke. The girl turns around and starts to yell at me. Turns out they were just breaking up. Edit. I forgot to say she was crying, but I couldn't see it at first, because she was facing the other way.